All right, guys, here we are in the main food plot. It is planting day, but I want to go over my intent here. I'm only sowing this green area where the vetch is at. I am waiting for this soybean to start dying down, which there are signs now, finally, that things are starting to change. So I'm going to let these beans die down some more, so that way some more light can get in here and my seeds will have a much higher success rate while they're trying to germinate. And of course, there's one big bad nasty up here. I absolutely hate these morning coffee plants, but now they're kind of growing like they're on steroids with all the trace mineral that I've done to them. So goodbye to those. Seeds aren't quite ready, so it'll be just chopped up and nutrients returned. So real quick, I know I've showed you section 1 as far as grain improvement here. What about 3? It's always been my best. Well, I think this soybean plant pretty much answers the question of how much production is being done here. Record-setting pod numbers. Feel free to count that if you want to. But every one of those right there, fantastic. Even strong numbers toward the end, which usually dwindles down to 2 or 1. And usually in the last foot and a half. Well, we're not doing that this time. And also, like I said, I tried my best to keep these soybeans standing. And in order to do that, you got to grow some really big, thick plants. And right there is a nice, big old soybean stem. Some of the thickest ones I've seen is out here toward the middle, and they're still standing straight up. And they are absolutely covered in pods. So, real quick here, and get back on track. This is where I cut with the bush hog and let the buckwheat reseed, which it has sprouted back, and the color looks really good. I like what I'm seeing out of that. There has been a very small amount of browse that's been done, not much, but that's really nice to see that with no fertilizers being applied right now. So this ought to do really well. I think the fall blends here ought to do very, very nice, because I know the potassium level is higher than last year's bunch, because I've added at least 50 pounds worth of it over the summer in here. So we've got plenty of potassium upgrades and more to come. And these plants are really just jumping out and skyrocketing. I also want to show you another surprise. Haven't shown these plants all year. Wanted to show them last year, and they just got choked out. And you know what? I put them in here, and I thought the same thing happened again. But I was wrong. Mainly because it was hard to spot them. So let's see what I'm talking about. And right here we go. We have our first one, and this is peanuts. These are low in nitrogen pumpers, but they do produce nitrogen. That's very nice growth coming out of there. If they wish to reseed, I am fine with that. So there may be plants in here that's already produced. And I brought the mower in here, or the bush hog, and ended up cutting some of them down. Didn't even realize it because you couldn't see them. But they have responded very nicely, and you can already see browse has happened here. So it didn't take long for, actually that's not peanut right there. This is your peanut. It's kind of shoved in there a little bit and intermingling. Here's another peanut plant. So I like what I see out of them, except for the fact that they just don't get all that large, at least not yet. I think as I can try to work this soil up a little bit more, things would improve. But it is responding very nicely. Once I took the cover above it, which is this stuff, they've erupted out of here. And unfortunately, they're fixing to get tilled. So there's probably going to be an even smaller percentage of these guys that's even going to make it. So we'll see. Here's an excellent looking plant, nice and green, so I like it. So the intent is to I'm going to till this standing as is. This will be my test run for this new tiller. It's not as thick and as robust as last year's, so the green color is not what I want, but we have a lot of good growth compared to what I used to get, so the average level of this soil is definitely better. And now it's got a new wave of nitrogen. A lot of this growth took off once potassium got applied. The plant's thickened up quite a bit, so I know it needed a little more potassium than what it had, and next year we will add more once the soil test confirms my actual numbers. So I will till this standing. I may video that, I may not. I'm using the exact same mixes: green cover, clover, even some turnips if I need it. You know, whatever mix I want to adjust here. Buckwheat, some more buckwheat, more winter peas in here. So I'll be doing plenty of mixing and matching here, and I'll go over that when we're done. But this is definitely the before, and we're going to do an after. Have a good one. All right, guys, the main plot has been sown. The only thing left to do is come back and add the clover once I till this in. Just trying to protect some of these smaller seeds from being buried too deep. And we'll be working our way up toward those sunflowers, maybe a little higher. And we're going to reset this whole area. And let's see how well this thing does with the taller stuff. This is nowhere near as bad as tilling down cereal rye. So I'm sure it'll be some wraparound, but that's just part of it. Here we go. Looking pretty good. really quiet. Swinging wide of that camera. I think that's good enough. And I'll finish out the tilling and I'll show you the final product. So hang tight, guys. All right, guys. Tiller did its job. Let's take a look here real quick before I do anything. Wraparound's not all that bad. I can actually see through that. So all I've got left to do is the barn, and that'll come on right on out of there. It may stick in the corners here a bit, but yeah, that's really not that bad. And there's some pretty big stuff in there. But here we go. This is now planted. The only thing left to do, like I said in the other video, is to add clover. So we have now reset the greenery area here. And in case you're wondering, why do I have an area designated like this and not have the whole plot with the mixture that I'm using? Well, one thing is I want deer to have ease of access food. So every time they go through these soybeans in the winter, it's going to poke them in the face, stick them in the eye, whatever. And it kind of becomes an annoyance. So deer don't browse too much in there until they start trampling it down. So at least here, this area here is going to get full sunlight, nothing in the way, and it'll be a thick, lush carpet of nothing but high protein greens. So that's one reason why I do this. Plus, when I initially laid the plot out, I've done multiple tactics for soil improvement programs. And of course, this Deer Vetch version came back, I think, the second highest wave of nitrogen in the plot. And I've only been doing this for a handful of years here, so it probably will become the #1 nitrogen maker in the food plot. So that's, I love experimenting for you people that are new. And I think just having, you know, this one small area here designated just as solid greens does a fantastic job of making deer happy and keeping them coming back. And as the green fills in underneath those bean plants over there during the winter months, that food bank will increase versus keeping it scalped to the ground in most cases. So up here, tell you what, some big old thick sunflowers that were here, now they're just pretty much ground up to dust, except for a few little twigs here, but it blew through them like it was nothing. Those sunflowers are getting soft. But I tilled all the way up to here, so that should be a nice green fill-in coming right there. And I reclaimed some more of this area back to where it used to be. Over time, it's just kind of slipped downhill, and it's gotten this area smaller and smaller. And I also tilled out in the back corner here. I probably regained nearly 10 feet in this upper corner. Those cowpeas were just kept pushing further and further out. So I just went ahead and just chopped them up and reset that area here in the corner. So now it's pretty much back to the original size. I would say it still needs to go back this way another 3 or 4 feet. But I did reclaim this area. So that's some really nice looking soil in here. See why it's so much easier to grow stuff in something like that versus what I'm dealing with in the island. That's why this came back as a world-class rating as far as I'm concerned. And you see when I form it, see how easy it forms? That soil wants to hold together. That's really good. And to me, if you have clay soil and you're building this type of soil over the top of it, when it mixes with clay, it is, to me, the ultimate mix, because clay is a slower release nutrient soil than sandy soil. And that helps maintain nutrients longer, keeps them from sinking so deep. As obvious in my soil test, scoring a 97 out of 100. That's one reason why this ground is improving so dang fast now. But all this here is not dead. I'd say a good portion of it is still living, which will buy it time to make seed while the greenery comes right up through it. And I don't know, we may have a few peanut plants that are surviving. Let me kind of go through here and look real quick. Here's a big one that kind of got chopped. Pulled him up by the root, unfortunately. There's one that has a good shot. I went through here pretty darn light. That one's going to die. This one still has hope. It's actually trying to produce a peanut right there. So I'm going to try to bury that one. Maybe, just maybe it can come out of that. We'll see. I don't know. It's not looking too good for the ones I saw. There might be a peanut plant or two buried under this stuff. Like, well, here's one. Yep, that one's still rooted. So there's your living peanut plant. We'll see how well he does now that the sunlight's been unblocked. All right, guys. So all that's left is clover. And then in another week to 2 weeks maximum, we're going to come back in here and hit up the rest of the plot. And that way the bean plant should be dying out, thinning out. And then as the leaves drop off, they will cover up the seed and give me good germination rates. So hope you enjoy these videos. There's definitely more to do, more improvements to make, but we are well on our way to making a fantastic nutrient filled plot. You all have a good one, and hit that like and subscribe button.